Hi there, it's Andrea Sangster here from CopyMadeSimple.com, here with day 14 of my 30-day communications tips challenge. And today I want to talk to you about niching now, or niching if you're in America. Now, finding a niche or a niche is a very important thing to do when you're in marketing, because if you can speak to a specific sector of your audience, that is much more powerful for you positioning yourself than if you're speaking with a loud hailer to just everybody within earshot. If you identify yourself as a champion for a very specific sector of people, they will naturally come to you when they need your service, rather than have to pick from the phone book of, how many hundreds of other people do what you do. I'll give you a great example of this. I teach marketing at my local enterprise agency, so I see loads of small businesses come through the door every month with marketing problems, and one of them was a guy who was a web designer. Now, web design is a pretty widespread industry, and we all know web designer, right? So this guy had thought long and hard about where his interests were and what his experience was in and the people he knew, and because he was a churchgoer, he decided he was going to be a web designer for church websites, which is pretty neat as an idea, I think, because you can see how that works. That church A finds the web designer, they do a good job, and so all the other churches, church B, C, D, E in the area, go, wow, who did your site? And so the name gets passed around. We're not really in a competitive situation here, but the name gets passed around and the guy gets more business, and he's familiar with the terminology and the restrictions on things like photographs and any particular jargon that might be used within that particular sector. So he builds up a knowledge, so he does become the go-to guy for that sector. So I want you to think about, in your business, whether you are niched correctly, if at all, and if you're not niched, if there is maybe there is a niche you can look at. So maybe a particular sector that you can do some work for. Could you apply your service to women? For example, could you be the person who specialises in your thing for women, or your thing for teenagers, or your thing for the over 60s, for example? And find a niche, because if you can find a niche that is an inch wide and a mile deep, and you can mine, then you are on a winner, basically. And that's much more profitable and much more reliable as a source of income for the future than becoming a generalist and a specialist and having to compete with everybody else in the world out there. So that's my tip for today. I hope that's useful, and see you again tomorrow.